Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Well, guess where you landed? It's no secret. It's the Her Voice Shines podcast. And yes, I'm biased. I think it's the best podcast on the planet. If I'm not going to say it, who's going to say it? But guess what? I'm Shanasia Washington, your beautiful host, streaming from none other than the hot and steamy Houston, Texas. I already have to run my AC. I don't know what's happening. I may have to move from this climate because y'all, I am melting. But you know what? I'm very excited about today because I have a guest whose energy is already radiating off the screen. And you're going to see that. You know the drill. She comes to the stage, tell us her name and where she's streaming from. And what do we get? The magic of that story without any further waiting time. Here's my very beautiful and vibrant guest for today.
Good morning. Hello. Wherever you are around the world, how blessed are we today to be with you, Sinatra. Her Voice Shines podcast. You're a gem. You're a host. And you are the mostest. I really, really appreciate being with you today. You make me just feel so energetic and vibrant. Thank you.
You know you're welcome. Y'all out there, isn't she cute as a button? Like I said, look at you, just so cute. You're just so cute. Girl, you're real cute. I mean, just beautiful in energy. And let me tell you guys, I was reading her story and I love it. I have some great questions for her. But give us just a insight into who Woobie is and tell us who's Woobie, because we see AKA Lyn-Dee, Eldridge. See how all this came together and who is this woman in front of us today?
Whoa. I sure do appreciate you and I appreciate this time. And who am I? I was born Lyn-Dee Eldridge in the 60s and I was brought up and I was mentally, physically, and sexually abused. But you know what? I live life on purpose. So before we go into, oh, no, that couldn't have happened to her. It did happen to me. And you know what? I'm glad it did because it gave me purpose of who I am today. So I grew up in New York and I was, like I said, I was very badly abused. And at the wonderful age of 18, I met Mr. Prince Charming, who said words to me that I never heard before. He called me beautiful. Back in the 70s, they would call you a fox, and he called me a fox. Needless to say, he won my heart over, so much so that he was my escape from my darkness, from my home that I grew up in. So I got married at the age of 18. Oh, everything was going so well. He was so kind until he wasn't. Until the disguise came off and the gentleman that I thought I married became one of the most horrific people that could have entered into my life. And I was with him for a total of 8 years, married 6 years. And I'll tell you, you know, when that knight in shining armor comes in and he lifts you off your feet and you, oh my God, somebody that loves me and appreciates me and sees that I'm pretty. Really? Oh, I've never been called that. So that was a little bit of an adjustment. However, I drank all that juice and it was horrific. So I wrote a book. It's called Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors. And it's my story, but it's my story of strength. It's my story of where did I come from and how did I get here? So everybody that has read my book around the world has always said, if they were in that situation, oh my God, when I was reading the book, I felt like you were sitting with me and I felt like I was telling you my story. You see, our stories are so similar. The only thing that changes are the names of the character and the shell that we look like. So fast forward, when I was 25 years old, I finally was able to have a beautiful baby girl. Prior to that, I had 3 tubular pregnancies, and it was rough. I never thought that I would be able to have a baby. My first pregnancy, I didn't know it was tubular. And let me let you in on something. In the book, Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors, I really don't think that my first former husband deserved to even be acknowledged by a name. So his name in the book is called Anus. Yes, how many of us have an anus in our life that we would like just to flush and remove? So his name is Anus. I love to bring in humor because laughter, it truly is the best medicine. So fast forward, I had the baby when she was 15 months old. This is when my life really started to change, where everything was like an aha for me. I'm holding this 15-month-old baby in my arms, and she was sick that day. She had her shots. She wasn't going to allow me to put her down. And that day I had to take off of work because, yes, I was a working mom as well. And but not on that day. And that day I couldn't get anything done. The end of the night at 5:30, 6 o'clock, guess who was coming home from work? Mr. Anus himself. And he was outraged. He was outraged that the home was not all put together. It was very, very clean. He was upset because there was no dinner on the table. Nope, he did not smell dinner that night, when every night he came home to a 5-course meal. No, it was pizza night. And he didn't like it. And he started raging. But something happened at that moment. You see, my television was on, and it was on PBS, Public Broadcasting Station. And I didn't know about personal development. Mr. Les Brown came on the screen. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't even know his name. But all of a sudden, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and he said, "Don't let anybody ever take you for granted. You've got greatness within you. You got to shine. You got to work on you." Boy, that's all I heard. So when Anus came in the door, very, very upset and very irate, I didn't hear him screaming anymore. All I heard was from Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. And as soon as that noise stopped, I looked up at him with the baby in my arms, and I said, "You know what? This baby isn't being asked to be being brought into this environment, and it is not a healthy environment, and it is not worthy of bringing up a child in a home that has arguing and fighting and all of this darkness. No, I'm not doing that to her. I got you, baby girl. We're getting a divorce." And of course, he didn't believe me, but we did. And during this time of being completely involved with who am I dug really, really deep and became a student of personal development. I got addicted to personal development. I was working on myself. I was now a student of the late, great Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Maya Angelou. Oh my goodness, I could not get enough. So if you're at the point in your life where you're not feeling your self-worth, I want you to either reach out to me, but really go to YouTube and start digging into the personal development. Yourself, realize who you are, because that's the beginning of the new you. Should I keep on going?
Now, wait a minute now, Miss Woobie. It's a couple things. Now, didn't I tell you her energy was going to jump off the screen? See, I already called it. And y'all see me in this podcast, it be confirmed. I call it, and then it's confirmed. But you know what, girl, I was back here laughing. She said she called him Anus. I say, no, she did. I say, Miss Woobie say she called that man Anus. And that's a name for it. Because you had to put a name on it and stand on it. But, you know, it's very interesting, you know, when we're living in our reality, and then we get a glimpse of something else. And when you got that glimpse of Les Brown, you see how limited. You didn't even know that you was that limited. Until you heard the voice of something else. But you know what was interesting in your paperwork? You kept saying that happiness is the best victory. I said, happiness is the best victory. But when in your life did that become more than a quote? It transitioned into reality. Because you can say it now, but when in your journey was that more than a quote? Like, this is my reality. I'm walking in the happiness that maybe I manifested and I did not know how to get to. but now is the moment that it's reality. Talk about it.
You know, when I realized that happiness was the best victory was when I realized that when I was happy, it would piss him off. It got him so upset. And I thought to myself, why are you getting so upset? I'm not, putting names on anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm just growing. They don't like you to grow. And that's when I realized, happiness is the best victory, and I am going to shine through. That did not mean that it was easy. It did not mean that I did not want to sometimes fall back. You see, here's a challenge with the past. We leave the past, but the past never leaves us. And there's always something in the background, no matter how much you work on yourself. Even to this day, at the age of 64, the past still tries to come up and say, what you doing? You're not good enough. Look at you today. What's that? Bah, 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 bah. All this noise, right? The past doesn't leave you. It's the devil trying to knock on your door. And you know what I say? Go kick that anus's butt too, because the devil has no room for you to be destructive, only to be a blessing and to become everything that you can. So every time the past was trying to come in and dictate my next step in life, I thought to myself, this doesn't even feel good. It's making me sad. It's making me feel no self-worth. And all of a sudden I said, no. You need to put on an 8-track, because back then they were 8-tracks and cassettes and then DVDs and now whatever we are. But I'm like, So as soon as you feel that past coming back into you to try to dissolve everything that you've been working so hard on, I want you to be able to go, nope, and you need to press play. You need to go on the repeats of this podcast. Yes, of Her Voice Shines. You need to hear other strength stories. You need to come on back on the pedestal where you belong, because nobody here will knock you off. You belong with us. You belong here. This woman that is the host, this Miss Shanaja, oh my God, she is the angel that is bringing you the strength to be able to say, not today, past, not today.
And you know what, Miss Woobie, that's why that self-work is such a continuous journey, because you'll think that you're free from something and you'll have a small trigger, Woobie. I know. You'll have a small trigger that'll try to reconnect you on the spot with that past. So that's why it's so important to be in it and be present in your personal development, not today, not yesterday, but forever.
Yeah. Because
you don't know the next thing in life, right? That's going to maybe challenge you more, take you back to a certain place. Because we none of us know our past. We have to be committed to walking it, but walking in a place that we are putting deposits in us. You understand me? That's going to take us to a place that has us sure in ourselves. Another interesting thing, you said that it was a point where somebody compared you to someone else. And that did not sit well with you. I've had it happen a dozen times. I want you to tell me, how did that become a catalyst for self-awareness? Because, go ahead.
No, please finish.
No, I was just going to say, because some women can never get past that comparison game. And guess what? There's always going to be somebody that's more this or less this or whatever, and you're never going to be able to meet the standard. So how for you did that become a catalyst for self-awareness?
So first of all, I'm very spiritual, and I was born a Jew. I'm going to die a Jew. You can't convert me, but I am very spiritual. I'm very, very connected to God. And I always believe God does not give you more than you can chew. And he does not bring you people into your lives for lessons, right? I mean, he brings them into your life for lessons. And once I really absorbed this kind of thinking versus why is God doing this to me, right? So one day, going back to your question, one day I went to my family doctor, and he took care of everybody. And I thought that he just adored me, and I was acting like me, I guess. And he looked at me and he goes, you know who you remind me of? And I thought he was going to give me the biggest compliment in the world. And I thought, who? And he told me. And I was like, huh? No. Why? And he said, your mannerisms, the way you handle yourself, the way you talk, you just really, you sound like her. That was not a compliment. That was not even close to a compliment. A matter of fact, that was God telling me you need to change. Okay. That was a message. I take people's voices and I look at them and what kind of message are they trying to deliver to me? And if it's negative, I throw it away. But if it's positive, I think about it. Right. So when he told me that, I was like, no. And I went home, and trust you me, at this point in my life, I was 18 years old and I still didn't understand anything. All right. I was a tomboy growing up because I had to defend myself, protect myself, and kick some butt, unfortunately, but fortunately. I had a mouth like a truck driver. You would have never recognized me today, all because I was in my own protection mode. But then I realized the character at 18 no longer belonged. I didn't have to be that person anymore. And that's when I didn't go into personal development. I didn't know what personal development was. But you know what? God's purpose for me was to figure it out because he needed me in the future today. I didn't know that, but I knew that compliment could not go on with me because it wasn't a compliment. It was an insult, and I did not appreciate it. And as much as people knocked me down in my past and told me that I was stupid, I was ugly, I was not worthy, I didn't belong here. I was dyslexic back in the 60s. They didn't know what dyslexic was. They just called you stupid, man. You were stupid. You got nothing, man. You got no value. But there was something when I was 18, when he said that to me, and that's just not right. It's not right. So I slowly started, every time a curse would come out of my mouth, I caught it.
That's good.
And I changed it to a different word. So the F word became a freak. You see what I'm saying? Because I didn't understand how to yet to dialect. Yeah. But I knew that I couldn't continue on with that either.
That's good. And you know what I caught? And you said it. You said, my thinking did not match my dreams. And I want to say this again because there's many of you sitting here right now watching this podcast. Your thinking does not match your dreams. It doesn't match. It's not even the same atmosphere. It's nowhere connected. How did you bridge the gap, Woobie? Because when I think, and I say 2020 is when I started doing real transformation on myself. And there was a period where my thinking, because I was in a rut, Miss Woobie, I was in a rut. It didn't match what I knew he called me to be. And I had some long, hard nights. So I want you to talk about to us how to bridge that gap.
Yeah, I realized that I can't smile and be angry at the same time. I can't. It's not healthy, and you're not going to find balance. People always resonated towards me because I was kind, because they would come and talk to me. I never understood anything. I never accepted their kind words to me, the ones that would come to me and say, I need to talk to somebody, and you're always full of common sense. I don't know how that happened. I think I was just always in tune with there's something better. Even though I'm being told I don't deserve more, I don't even feel like I deserve more, but there's got to be something better. But here's the deal. When I had that baby at 25, the switch changed because whatever I was thinking about me and the darkness of me, and I looked down at that baby girl and I said, I got to raise you to have courage. I got to have you to be raised with self-worth, no matter what, because it's just you and me, baby girl. So I don't know if you have that little person in your life that you're willing to use as that tool to say, this is going to be my strength. This is going to make me sure that I'm on track to do better. Or maybe it's a puppy. Maybe it's a picture of somebody. I don't know what that's going to be for you. Maybe it's talking to Woobie. Maybe it's giving Woobie a call. Because all I know is that there are many, many, many transitions, and we don't have enough time to go through all of them. But I'm going to share with you that during each one of your transitions, you will grow, because there's still more of a horrific story ahead that you haven't even heard about me, that I went through. But I'm here to tell you today that no matter what, you shine. Your voice shines. And like I said, when you need that help up and you feel like your past is struggling and taking you down, go back to this podcast. Go back and listen to different segments of the strength of women that have been where you are. Like I said, our stories are the same. The only thing that changes are our faces and the names of the characters. But if you've been abused, it's the same story. If you've been loved, it's the same story. It's all on how are you now manifesting your life to be the best life ever, because we have to live life now. You don't know, and I don't know when the good Lord is going to say, time to go back. But here's what I did talk to God about. And I said, God, I said, I understand my purpose. And I also promise you that I'm not going to be one of the richest people in the cemetery. The ones that took all of their ideas and all of their creativity and all of their thoughts and all of their dreams with them. They took all their riches with them. No, sir. No, sir. I promise you, every day when I wake up, I'm going to give a smile to everybody that I pass, whether it's in Walmart, the gas stations, at a company I'm working with, a client that I'm working with. It doesn't matter. The smile is the magnetic connection to your future. Mm-hmm. And through the smile came opportunity. It just started happening. People they wanted to talk to me. I was starting to be invited on TV shows. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? But I never said no. I said, okay, right? Mm-hmm. So I think we need to go, though, really fast forward, because we don't have a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And there's a portion of my chapters that I pray to God helps strengthen each and every one of us, because it was horrific. Should I go there now?
I think we should, but I also too want you to weave this in when you go there, because you talk about this smile. I went to visit a church on Sunday, and I sat down with this elder in the church, and I just smiled, and she said, I feel the Spirit of God on you. She just told me. It's just what it is, right? And it's so powerful. But sometimes there are rooms that don't welcome that smile. How do you protect your energy when the room doesn't smile back? I want you to talk about that. I'm just saying, I've been thinking about it. I want you to talk about that. And I want you to weave that into the other part that you were going to speak about.
Okay. So not every room do you belong in. Not every church is for you. People come into your life for a season. And it's okay to love from afar and let go. Just because it's your church doesn't mean it's the only church. If people aren't giving you the love, then go someplace where nobody knows you so you could have a new beginning. How about that? I'm going to start weaving in my next one.
How about that? Go ahead. You got it. Go ahead.
How about that? Okay. So for 20 years after I got divorced, I was living in South Florida. And by the way, I live in upstate South Carolina now. And I love it here. Come. No, don't. They'll yell at me if I tell you to come, because they're overpopulated now with all of our halfbacks, right? But anyway, so for 20 years, I just really dug into myself, and I became an entrepreneur and a business owner. I owned a hair salon. I owned a pet store. I became very, very successful in a company that I really believed in the service, the leadership, and the comp plan. And yes, it was a part of multi-level marketing. I'm still involved in it today. Go where you're valued. Go where you know that nobody could take away your dreams. Now, going into business and everything, it's a whole different beast. But prior to me going into business, I had to become an employee. Here's the deal. In today's world, there is so many opportunities. I only graduated high school, and then I went to cosmetology school because I was very intrigued with cosmetology school, and it's more hands-on than reading, right? Here's what I know to be true. You could do anything you want. You have to say yes, because many are willing to train you, and there is nothing better than being trained on the job. Nothing better. And as you perfect your skill later on, you may realize, that was really great, but I don't want to do this anymore. And that's okay. Because along the way, you are starting to figure out who you are. In your teens, you don't know who you are. In your 20s, you're still trying to figure it out because you're a party animal. In your 30s, you're starting to get tired and you realize being up till 2:00 in the morning every day isn't good. And you're starting to settle in. So give yourselves a break to grow in your life, but make sure that you're being mentored to grow. Make sure you're connecting yourself with your right teacher. Make sure you're going to the seminars, conventions, and everything that you feel worthy of going to. And that's what I did. I poured into me for 20 years. I got very, very addicted. And I not only went to the conventions, the seminars and everything, but I invested in myself. And I became a personal student of the greatest of the great, the Zig Ziglars, the Jim Rohn, the Brian Tracy's, the Maya Angelou's, and on. And I said, if there was ever anyone that I wanted to shadow and be more like, it's these people. So I was their student. I knew that how they acted was way better than what that doctor said to me when I was 18. So I started working on myself, starting to figure everything out. And in any company that I worked in, if it said no experience necessary, will train, and I was intrigued, I went. Never do anything that doesn't make you happy. If it doesn't make you happy, stop doing it, because there's more out there. And if you keep on staying in this door that you're not happy with, another door cannot open because you did not close this door. Don't be so afraid of what you don't have. Be excited for what is coming, no matter how hard it is. Trust me, I ate peanut butter crackers while my baby girl had her chicken. I know what it's to be broke. I also know what it's like to just have a little bit of faith, but to plant yourself in the right places. So for 20 years, I really worked on myself. And then I was at a convention at the age of 40, 41, and I was in Oklahoma City. I was at the company that I'm with in multi-level marketing. When I go to conventions, guys, you got to hear this, okay? Because some of you go to conventions, some of you really invest in yourself and you spend money and you go to these classes, but then you sit in the hallway because you think, I don't know what you think, because I don't think like that. Or you sit all the way in the back so you could keep on being distracted by people getting up and down and moving and chit-chatting, right? No, my friends, listen to me. You paid for the event, and even if you didn't pay for the event, I want you to treat it like you paid $1 million for it, because when events were gifted to me, I showed up because it was a gift, but I treated it as if it came out of my own wallet. And I always sat in the front. And you want to know why? The leaders are in the front. My mindset, I want them to be a lead. I wanted to be a leader. Even though I'm a student, just like everybody in the room, I'm no better. I'm no worse. I'm the same student as everybody else, except I have more awareness where I want to be. And I'd have people say, come sit by me. I saved you a chair. And I said, you're too far back. Come up with me. She go, well, I only see one seat. I said, well, then I guess it's mine. You really have to take charge. And if you go to events with other people and there's an empty seat in front, tell them, I'll see you during the break. I'm going up front. Put yourself up front. It's up to you. It's up to you to put yourself where it is that you want to be. So I went to the convention, the leaders were there, and I met one of my, we call them our upline, and a nice gentleman, didn't think anything of it. Back in Florida, I had my hair salon going and my pet store. So understand, I was an extremely busy woman and now a mother of a teenage daughter. So things went on, and in the industry of multi-level marketing, you always want to use people that have a lot of experience to be able to teach you and speak to others. So I connected with this gentleman. Well, it became business and then friendship. Long story short, he became my husband. And I remarried, where I never thought that I was going to remarry again, but I did. And I moved to New Hampshire. So now I live in New Hampshire and we are a combined family. He has 3 children. I have my daughter, and life was good until it wasn't any good. Now, that doesn't mean that there weren't any complications. I was really going to write a book in regards to step parenting and boundaries and co-parenting. But he didn't want me to do that. So the book is still in my computer. Maybe I'll come out with it one day. Anyway, understanding that being in a combined family, there were lots of lessons. And the biggest lesson that I learned from that is I had to learn my boundaries as a step parent. And that was very confusing. So if any of you are struggling with being a step parent, give me a call, because I get it. I get it. There's a lot of boundaries there. But you know what? Let me just go real fast forward and then we'll go back. And I hate to do that, but I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. He has 3 children. No, I can't go forward. Nope. Let me go back. Okay, yeah. So much, right? There's just It's a lot. There's a lot. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I am now married, and it's 14 years. And my marriage is having some kind of challenges, and they're real challenges. Okay. So, when somebody warns you, here's a really great thing. When somebody warns you, and what I mean by that is that I was told, you know what, and we became very, very successful, and we were wealthy. But all of a sudden there were things going on. Now the kids are all teenagers. So of course there's different challenges with the children. However, my partner came to me and said, you need to figure out another way to make a living, because I need all of this money and he told me why. And I just looked at him and I was blindsided. I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense. What are you telling me? And he left. And I had a very special place. I hope you guys have a special place where you could think and you could empty, because you got to cry. You got to allow your emotions to come out. And there was a special place, a stream in New Hampshire very spiritual for me, very attached to God and the universe. And I went there and I am sobbing. I am so confused. I don't know what is going on. How is my life completely going into this, right? Here comes a tornado. And I looked up at God with so many tears and crying in my eyes. And I said, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then I just stayed in silence. If you stay in silence, you'll hear whispers. And I heard the whisper, and it said, you are my happiness angel. Put your wings on and go fly. I got you. It's going to be bumpy. That's it. Have you ever felt that before? That flow of what was that?
Yes, I have.
Beyond, right? It's a beautiful thing when you allow yourself to stay in peace and calmness, so these things could happen for you. I never understood it until it started happening for me. I went home and I called up my editor who published my first book, Tears of Fears Behind Closed Doors. Mm-hmm. And I told her what was going on, and she knew all the characters in my story for 50 years, way longer than I did. And she said to me, I'm really busy. However, I'm going to connect you with my digital expert, and he's in Pennsylvania. I said, okay. I didn't know him. You see, good people will lead you to good people. Bad people will also lead you to bad people. So what's your choice? Which street are you on? I'm on the good one, right? And I said, okay. I contacted him and we started working together. I paid him with my own money that I was making from one of my personal entities. Well, what happens when people start seeing you move forward? They don't like it. They don't like it. So he tried to sabotage it. He did a lot of things. I had to make a decision, and I called up my digital marketer because he was one of the threats. And I said, you know what's going on. He emailed you. So let's do this. I have enough material. I have enough marketing material that I think that I could go ahead and start the happiness jungle. I believe I could start the happiness jungle, right? And I said, I got to put you on a vacation. I can't fire you. He wants me to fire you. Can we say you're fired, but you're really just going to go on a little bit of a vacation and just chill out because there's too much going on right now. He's literally almost ready to throw my crap right out the window. How's that? You know, it's funny. People tell you, I love you. I love you. I love you. Even people in your past, right? Your in-laws and everything. I love you. I love you. But then when things happen, they don't love you so much. And I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. You know why? Because I now more love for myself. And I tell people all the time, why are you getting involved in other people's circuses when it's not even your monkeys? Why are you giving your opinion? Why can't you just be neutral? So I am one of the most neutral peoples on this planet now, and it's delicious. So I started the happiness jungle. My mom was down in South Florida. I decided I was going to go down there because everybody knew me, and I was going to introduce happiness jungle. Boy, here comes another tornado. My mom was the meanest woman alive. Okay, she was brutal. She was known as Hurricane Francis. I had two other siblings. I was the youngest. The king and the queen were nowhere to be found when my mother needed her. And here I am looking at my mother, frail, and now she's having challenges. And I'm supposed to get on a plane or drive back to New Hampshire and be okay with this, even though this woman is the ugliest woman in my life. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So, okay. My marriage was struggling. I went down to South Florida and I was helping my mom. I now started to become a caretaker of my mom. Oh my goodness. Oof. Go to my YouTube channel.
I'm living it.
I'm living it. Right? So here I am. And now I have canceled over 21 speaking engagements that I have throughout the country.
Oh, man.
And they're paid speaking engagements.
Yeah. Yeah.
All expenses paid.
Oh, wow.
I canceled them. Because if there's one thing that I know is that people need people. And if you can be strong enough to get through this, then, you know, and I always think, how do I want people to treat me? So, number one, I did not raise my daughter the way I was raised. I raised my daughter in a beautiful light versus the dark light. But it comes time where you just got to put all that aside because you got to realize there was great purpose. And I thanked my mom. I'm like, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for putting me through and not protecting me. You know why, Mom? Because I help a lot of children today. I help a lot of children. I go into detention centers and I look at them in their eyes and I'm like, you got this. You can turn it around. And they believe in me because they understand, they feel that I'm real and I'm authentic. So thanks, Mom, because if I didn't go through that, guess what? I couldn't talk and help these children. Thank you very, very much. So there was one speaking engagement and it was in New Hampshire. It was called Families in Transition. God was pulling on me and says, this is one you cannot cancel. You need to get to New Hampshire. Now, remember, I was a resident of New Hampshire. So I made sure my mom was taken care of. I decided, well, if I'm in New Hampshire, I might as well go for my yearly physical. That just makes sense. I don't know when I'm going to come back. I found out I had the breast cancer. I had to sit on that one for a little bit, right? Yeah. So found that I had the breast cancer, shared it with my still husband. And I said to him, see, I loved my husband. Yeah. I knew that he was just going through a lot of stuff. My second husband, good man.
Yeah.
Okay. And I looked at him and I said, I'm about to throw you because I still don't understand it all. But I think I need to tell you this. But before I do, let me ask you something. Do you want a divorce? Because if he said yes, it would have been okay. If he said no, which he did.
That was bold. That was definitely bold, for sure.
I had to. I had to know where is this? I'm a caretaker of a bitch. I now have the breast cancer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I said, do you want a divorce? And he goes, I never want a divorce from you. And I said, well, if there was ever a better time to reconcile, baby, it's now. Because I just found out that I have the breast cancer and I don't know anything else. I don't know what stage. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I do know. I just wish I could be held and loved.
Yeah.
And we were sitting across from one another and I decided he didn't get up to sit by me and give me a hug of embrace, right? Compassion and empathy. I wanted it so badly that I went ahead and I sat by him and I got the coldest hug you could ever imagine from a man who says, I love you for 14 years. And I was like, okay. I said, all right. And he goes, I don't want a divorce. I said, okay. Well, I know I have to do certain things. This is all, and my second book, Squeeze My Tatas. You're only one mammogram away from knowing. My story is in that book, okay? And long story short, he abandoned me. He couldn't handle it. He could not. There were many, 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 many people that cannot handle it. And I had to forgive him for it because that was not my circus. His head and what was going on in his head was not my circus. That was his circus.
Right.
And I said to him, and I said, I said, Mark, I forgive you, but we're done. You can't be with me now during this time of my life. Forget about everything else. Then I don't trust you to get old with you. I think that if we were old and gray and I was choking on a chicken bone, you'd probably run out of the house and then that would be the end of me. So I love you. And I got to go. We go to the courthouse and it is December 19th, 2017. And I walk up to the window and we have our divorce papers filled out to have them filed. And I looked at the clerk and I said, can you tell me how long this would take? And she goes, oh my God, the judge has so much on her desk that probably not until next year, February. And I'm thinking to myself,
oh, wow.
That's a long time. And I looked at her. I wasn't crying. I wasn't complaining. One tear, I'll never forget it, just kept on rolling. And I looked and I said, can you hear me? Because it was a glass.
Yeah.
I could hear you. And I said, I have the breast cancer and my marriage is not reconcilable.
Right.
If I could have the divorce before the year ends, so my insurance will be different and I don't have to deal with that next year, that would be amazing. I have to tell you that if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Always no.
She called me at 9:00 the next morning and she said, congratulations, you're divorced.
Oh, wow.
And that's another thing that you had to absorb, right? Because it's not something I wanted, but it's something that I knew had to happen. To this day, all three of his children are a part of my life. Every one of them.
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's so beautiful.
If you're good, you'll always be good.
Mm.
And because I was always good to my children and I understood the boundaries, and that's why I'm sharing with those people that are involved in combined families. If you're having challenges, I got some good tips for you, right? Because I understood. Not that I liked it all the time.
Right.
I understood. And now I've got all these children with me. And whether he likes it or not, that ain't important. So who you are and who you can be to shine your light will absolutely bring charm, love, happiness, and laughter if you'll allow it.
And let me just tell you right here in the Her Voice Shines podcast, yet Woobie, aka Lyn-Dee Eldridge, doesn't know, but we have to give her a part 2 because I still have some other things that I need to talk to her about. So we're going to pause right now. We've never done this on the show before. This first time ever. So go ahead and pin it on the show. We've never done this before. So we're going to end here because I need to regroup from that because there were so many gems there. And I want to make sure that in our next segment, we segue into some of the ways that Woobie can actually help you and you guys can get that further connection point. So we're going to bid you a good, not a goodbye, but maybe just a little farewell for just a little while. And we'll be back with another amazing episode with part 2 with Woobie, aka Lyn-Dee Eldridge. But until that time, we're out. And miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine, and we'll see you next time.